Hi, this is Juuso from Battle Beast, and you're watching RichardMetalFan.
Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Richard Metal Fan Interviews. This is episode number 141, and today's guest we're talking to Juuso Soinio. He is the guitarist and founding member of the band Battle Beast, a heavy metal power metal band from Finland. Today we're going to be talking to him about what got him into metal and pretty much what got into playing guitar, as well as the history of Battle Beast. So without further ado, let's go talk to Juuso. So what's up, guys? I'm here with Juuso Soinio from the almighty Battle Beast. How you doing today, man?
I'm doing great. Thanks. Thanks for having me.
So awesome to talk to you. So kind of like the format is, I want to do like a rundown of your discography and talk about like your journey as an artist from where you started to now. But take me back to your younger self. So growing up, what were the first bands that got you into metal and what made you want to start playing guitar?
Actually, I would say it's sad that I don't know which band was it which got me super excited. When I was a kid, there was late night in radio in Finland. There was like short metal program, maybe for 1 hour or two. And when we were coming back, when I was maybe 6 years old or something, we were coming back from somewhere with my parents, and I heard this some kind of black metal, weird growling music, and I got super excited. It sounded scary and it sounded like super cool, but I never found out which band it was. But guess that was like one. We were actually like then talking with my dad that I should maybe start, if I want, I could start playing some instrument that they could put me in music school. So then I was like, okay, guitar sounds great, so I want to play guitar. But I don't know which band it was.
No. Well, were you in any bands before starting up Battle Beast, or was Battle Beast like your first band?
It was basically my first band. Yeah. We started playing with some of the members when we were like in like 7 years, 8 years old, something like that. I don't know. Like at school we had some guitars and drums, and we started like playing Black Sabbath and stuff there. Right. Well, not maybe when we were 7, maybe when we were 10 or something like that.
All right, and so, I believe you all formed in 2005.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to say like when it really formed, because there was like this, me and Anton, and well, basically me and Anton, like we went to same school when we were kids, so, and we were playing together. I guess around 2006, maybe like after going to army, maybe then it got like this name that it was like Battle Beast, but it had some other names before that, the thing, and some other players and whatever, but it was also not very serious back then. We didn't know anything about anything. We were complete amateurs. So
right. And when did you start to like get serious and like okay, we need to start playing shows, and then start like recording some demos to like send out to labels and stuff?
Yeah, well, that I would say that happened around like 2006 ish, somewhere there.
Yeah. Yeah, and tell me about like the first show you did as Battle Beast. Do you remember where it was and what kind of memories you had with the first Battle Beast show?
Yeah, I do remember, like with Battle Beast name, or actually, I wonder, did we use that name with the other singer? But okay, first show with the first female singer that we had, Nitte. It was in the smaller city which is nearby Helsinki, called Järvenpää, in like a complete small pub, like, a small pub, and there was maybe, how many people can be in the pub, maybe 20 or something. And we played, I think, a couple of our own songs, and then like some Manowar cover song or something like that. And
that's awesome.
Yeah, it probably sounded pretty terrible. Like we didn't have super good gear, and we didn't have like, I'm not sure if we had a sound engineer there at all. So probably everyone just heard the acoustic drums really loudly and the cymbals. But anyway, you have to start somewhere, and that's where we started.
All right. And then, of course, eventually you played around for a little bit, and I believe your first label was Hype Productions. How did they find Battle Beast?
Yeah, that's correct. That label doesn't exist anymore. It was like the Finnish smallest label. We got that deal from this competition, band competition from Finnish radio channel called Radio Rock. So they had like a band competition where we took part, and then I think on the second try we actually won the competition, won the great recording deal, which then happened to be with this very small label from Finland.
Yeah.
So they basically like released our first album, but then a little bit afterwards we got like a licensing deal to Nuclear Blast, the German label, which kind of like bought the licenses for the first album. Then they kind of also released the same album with a little bit different cover or something like that.
Yeah, which is, of course, the debut album, Steel, 2011. So what was like the mind frame, like making the first Battle Beast record?
That was very... I think we were like... we didn't know much about anything, first of all.
Yeah.
Like, we had the songs, and basically like Anton had the songs. And we won this competition. We won like a record deal, and then we were told that, okay, now we got a studio for you, and you have to go there. And we went there, and we basically had never seen, for example, such high quality equipment in our lives before. We were there. Everything was completely new and completely like kind of hard to imagine. It was hard to believe that we are there. We were in the same studio where Amorphis and Children of Bodom and almost like all the big Finnish metal bands had been recording at least something. And then we were there. We were like 18 years old or 20, or I don't know, something like that.
Yeah.
So it was, of course, it was amazing. It was like super cool, but it was also very like, confusing and almost like a weird dream-like experience. It was hard to believe that we are actually there doing, like, recording with the same stuff that Children of Bodom was recording, or stuff like that.
Yeah,
and honestly, we were not so good musicians. It was also kind of hard when we realized that, okay, this is like, it doesn't sound as good as Children of Bodom, even we got the same equipment. So it was definitely a learning experience too.
Yeah, and I agree. It's still a great debut. I remember like the opening track, Enter the Metal World. I just love it. Just like some really great riffs. Almost kind of reminds me of like Ron of Dio a little bit, with the sort of like the synth, the ambient kind of like synths and everything. Just really just slams you in the face. And I just think it's great. And I especially love Armageddon Clan. I think is really sick with like the sick drumming and another great riffs. I think that just kicks ass all around.
Yeah, I think like the aesthetics of the music there is, it has really this like very classic heavy metal riffs, which I like them. I would say like maybe like the production of the first album, like the level of production is could be better maybe.
Yeah.
But then on the other hand, I always think of records as they're like snapshots of that time. So it's like that was what we were able to do back then. That was what the producer was able or willing to do back then. And then next album was from different time and stuff like that.
Right.
But I think like the kind of like the core of the songs is quite solid in the first album.
Yeah. And when this album first was released, did you start like touring outside of Finland for the first time, or was it still just kind of local?
I think it was mostly like during those times, really weird things happened. Like no one would book us anywhere outside Finland, basically. No, like we were not like known. We were like of no use for any festival outside Finland. But then we also happened to win this Wacken metal battle competition also. So we won like this radio rock competition and we won the Wacken metal battle competition. And then we got to play in Wacken, which is like one of the most legendary metal festivals in the whole world, I guess.
Yeah.
But at least in Europe, definitely.
Yeah. I saw so many like videos and stuff. I'm just like, I really want to go there one day.
Yeah, I would recommend it. We are playing, by the way, in Wacken this summer. So
yeah.
But of course, yeah, it's sold out always.
Yeah.
I think they sold out. They always sell it out before they even announce the headliners.
Yeah,
so,
it's freaking crazy. Yeah, I bet you like metalheads are like, fuck whoever's playing. It's Wacken. We're going.
Yeah. People are like, yeah, whatever. There is gonna be some big band, so who cares,
Yeah.
But yeah, so yeah, we were not really touring almost anywhere. We were basically like, I was going around Helsinki and asking the pubs and bars, like, can we come and play here? Like, if we bring our own PA or something, can we play here?
Yeah. And then,
time.
yeah. And then, of course, the next album is the self-titled. And normally with like the debut album, you have like your entire life to write in. There's a lot of hype with the first album. When it came to making the self-titled, did you feel like pressure to follow up Steel?
I would say, yeah, there was. And there was like the changing the singer thing, which created even more pressure.
Yeah, you got Nora now. How did she end up joining the band?
Well, that was a mess too. Yeah, like actually, like between the albums, there happened this another unbelievable thing that the manager from Nightwish, I think he heard our songs from the radio or something, because they were playing the songs in a Radio Rock because we won the competition. And then he showed up on one of our shows. Like, we didn't know him or nothing like that, but he just showed up on one Finnish gig. It was a really small one. And of course, we were completely nervous because we knew that he's there and he's like kind of quite easily the most important heavy metal manager person in Finland. So we were like, okay, now stuff is happening. And then he somehow booked us to open for Nightwish European tour. And that happened like during the first album, which was like completely insane. And that was again something like we were still like very, very like amateurish band. Like we didn't know anything about anything. And then we were like playing in these ice hockey halls for 10,000 people and stuff like that. That was crazy.
Yeah.
And like then after that tour, then Nitte told us that she wants to, I think she said something that she wanted to concentrate on her family life and stuff like that. She had a new boyfriend or husband, and I think they got a kid or were trying or something like that. So then she quite surprisingly just like left. I think there was also like some massive drama between her and Anton back in the days, like who was kind of leading the band. So I don't know. She never said that, but I think there was some problems between them, or I mean, like that it maybe had an effect why she wanted to quit. And then we were like completely screwed because things were looking pretty good. Things were going forward, and we were booked for our next tour for opening for, I think, for Sonata Arctica and something like that.
Yeah.
And then we were just searching for singers, and that was very difficult because we couldn't offer any money. We didn't have any money. We could only offer that maybe someday this band could take off or something. So then we were like asking any singers we knew from the internet, like from some bands which we knew that they, for example, quit some band. We were just trying to get their contact info and ask them like if they were interested. And then I think finally Anton actually just found from online, by almost like pure luck, he found some YouTube videos where Nora was singing something completely different than metal, some Janis Joplin stuff and some bluesy stuff and blues rock. And we were looking at those videos. We were like, yeah, she's like actually really, really good singer and has like this kind of, like harsh voice, kind of bluesy voice. And we just contacted her like, hey, are you interested in this kind of music and blah, blah, blah. And then we went to see one of her shows in some pub and we offered her kind of the job, but it's not a job because we couldn't pay any money. So we could only offer that, okay, if you want to join, then you just have to learn the songs really quickly, and then we go on tour with Sonata Arctica to Europe.
Yeah.
And that's what we did.
And that's crazy. Were you kind of like nervous with because anytime when a band changes singers, there's always like, will it work or won't it work? And in this case, it does work. I remember like when, like, for example, Iron Maiden, when they transitioned from Paul Di'Anno to Bruce Dickinson, a lot of people were kind of used to like that, kind of like those first two Maiden albums were kind of like very punky. But then when Bruce comes, they kind of switched to like just, I feel like what I would consider kind of like the Maiden sound, which is pretty much what people know and love today. So I feel like you guys really just stepped it up, especially with Nora in the band.
Yeah, I could also like say like in retrospective, I could say that's the case. But back in the days during those times, we were insanely nervous. It was like nerve-wracking, scary, and we were young. We didn't know anything about anything, and we were like at the same time like, of course, like scared and kind of disappointed because we kind of lost the first singer, and then we're hoping. Also, yeah, we were happy that Nora was definitely performing super well. Like she's super good singer. But then I also like in my mind I was going through all these cases where Judas Priest. Well, for example, like when big bands like the singer took their solo career or something like that, or changed the singer, and it's always like a mess. Nightwish changed the singer, and that was like a huge drama and stuff like that. But then on the other hand, for example, when Nightwish changed the singer, their shows just got bigger and bigger. So it's, we were also trying to keep that in mind, that it's not necessarily a bad thing, even if many people, kind of get disappointed or something. As long as everyone doesn't get disappointed, it should be fine.
Yeah.
But definitely we were super, super nervous. Those were some mentally quite hard times, really.
Yeah. Yeah. And how, especially at that time, what was like the reception of like Nora being in the band? Were people kind of like, yeah, she's awesome?
I would say it was splitting opinions in a way that I think people didn't really talk badly about her voice, but for example, that was a time when YouTube was getting bigger and bigger, and the internet was also kind of young. And I would say like the comments in the internet forums and in YouTube comments and stuff, they were pretty brutal. Like talking about her appearances and stuff like that. They were like really brutal. But then on the other hand, fortunately, it doesn't really matter because it's mostly those people who wouldn't buy our album anyway. So it didn't really matter for the numbers, but it definitely felt extremely bad. I felt extremely bad for her because like she took a big risk to to, you know, join our band and become kind of like the front person there. And then she got like massive amount of brutal comments and all kinds of crap.
Yeah.
So it was,
but
there was a lot of like negative emotions, but we just try to keep in mind that things are actually going quite well. You know, that the record sounded good, and it's like that's what really matters. And those people who are like commenting on appearances, I guess it's their problem. You know, that they have more problems than us.
Yeah, you just got to be like, fuck the haters. We're gonna keep doing what we do. Yeah, but that's also like, I have to say that it's easy to say now afterwards, but it definitely felt bad. Like, you know, it felt bad and scary, and it's like your mind gets completely also like hazy. You don't really, it's hard to kind of grasp like how many of these people are out there, because it feels like there's like hundreds of people who hate us or something. Yeah. When I guess in reality it was a couple, like 10 people or 20 people who were just writing these comments mostly. Right. And of course, this year does mark 10 years of the self-titled. So kind of what I wanted to ask, is there like a possibility we can get a celebration of this somehow? Maybe you do a tour where you play this start to finish? To be honest, I think probably not. Because we had like we had later the other drama in the band when we kicked out Anton, like the original songwriter who wrote basically all the songs on that record. So, you know, there's also like kind of feels weird also to play if we would just play that album. Like we are kind of trying to concentrate on the newer stuff. Yeah. And then there's also like a little bit like question of resources, because we are also like kind of tight in the schedule. Like we are already writing the next album, so we don't kind of have a lot of extra time to do anything, you know, like extra special right now. Right. Like we are trying to survive the gigs that we have right now and to create a new album and, you know, things like that. All right. And then the next album, Unholy Savior, I love this album. What is it like going from the self-titled to this? I would say that in that transition there was even more pressure than before, because like I think like when you make the first album, that's even if there's like some rough edges, for example, with the production and stuff, I think a lot of fans, like kind of true metal fans, metal heads, they kind of forgive you a lot, because it's a first album. They are also like, okay, fine, this is like kind of like good try, and there's like some good ideas here, and let's see how this develops. And then I would say like the second album was like kind of tighter, maybe not like a perfect production, but like a little bit better, and it started to sound kind of more like a bigger band or something like that. And the songs were pretty spot on, and it got like really good reviews and like really good like reception, and things were like looking at that things are going like up like crazy, and that really put some extra pressure, because then it's always like it is about the next album, because it's like two previous albums kind of definitely set us for the right direction, but then it was, you know, then if you make really bad album, then it's gonna, you know, go downwards, and we definitely wanted to go bigger. And you know, when you already gave a lot of effort for the previous album, then it's like, where do you find like even better stuff for the next one? Yeah. So yeah, there was a lot of pressure for that. And then I would say also that there was like
some song ideas which were not on the album started also to go quite weird. There was so we had like inside the band a lot of discussion, like kind of also like what should be on the album and like what should be like the idea overall. And
yeah, and the production on this album is just perfect. Especially one of my favorite songs, especially I love like Lionheart. I think is a great opener, and I love how you interestingly covered Paul Ingman's "Push It to the Limit," which I think is just a really sick cover. What made you guys decide to cover that song in particular?
I think that was like quite fast decision, because it's like when we make albums, it's usually Japan needs like some bonus tracks, and some other markets kind of need some bonus track, and the bonus tracks are always something that we remember like after everything else is done. Then it's like the record companies like, hey, how about the bonus track for Japan, or for, I don't know, for South America or something like that, or just for North America, I don't know. And then it's usually like, okay, let's do some cover or something, unless we have some extra song. So I think it was decided quite quickly. Scarface was one of probably Anton's favorite movies, and I have to say it's also like one of my favorite movies. So that was quite natural choice.
Say hello to my little friend.
Yeah, it's a sick movie.
Yeah, and of course with bonus tracks, I know there's always got to be like diehard fans or collectors that like to get like every version of the album, like the rare Japanese press or the European press. Like every fan just wants to get that. So I think that's also a good like marketing idea plan.
Yeah, I think actually like Japanese record companies do that. That they might even release like multiple versions of the album for Japanese market, because there is a lot of fans who, exactly what you said, that they want to buy all the different versions, even they are almost the same versions. There's usually like some bonus track, or just like some different cover picture. It might be like the same album but different cover picture or something like that. And there's people who want to buy them all. They kind of collect all kinds of versions.
All right. And then the next album, Bringer of Pain. I actually like this album. I feel like it's almost kind of like a little bit of a change, but it's still the same battle beast that we all know and love.
Yeah.
What was that like making this?
Well, that was some super hard times. This start to feel like really depressing, because almost many of our albums have been done in kind of like dark times in a way. And this was like after we had massive problems with Anton Kapanen, who at that time we kind of decided to part ways. And then we were again like in a situation where we were like, okay, are we even able to make good enough songs, first of all? And so that was quite scary. I knew that we had like lots of talent, lots of ideas in the band, but then now it was like time to prove it. Actually, like now it was like, okay, now there's no going back anymore. So now we just have to come up with some good stuff. Yeah. And it was nerve-wracking process, but it was also like there's like couple songs which, when I heard like the crappy demos, for example, from Straight to the Heart,
all right,
just heard like some really badly made demos from Eero, and I was like, it was like a huge relief when I heard it. I was like, okay, we're gonna survive this. This sounds freaking amazing, and it's gonna work. So,
and I think it's a pretty good album. I especially love the opening song, "Straight to My Heart." Really sick song. And I also like the song "Lost in Wars," which features of Tommy from Amorphis. How'd you end up working with him to do a song on here?
That was, I think, originally we were like thinking, or that's a song written by Janne, by the way, and he wanted to write a song which had like a male singer, kind of this kind of duet thing. I think he was like thinking about like Till Lindemann from Rammstein. Probably like we were hoping that maybe it could be possible to get him to sing there, but not surprisingly, that was not possible.
Yeah,
because Rammstein is basically like the biggest band in Europe of any bands, almost. So it's not easy to get this guy to fly to Helsinki and come sing to small bands record. But then on the other hand, we had some friends who worked with Amorphis, and Tommy is like really good singer, and actually like he has not similar voice, but like is able to sing from kind of like a lower register in this kind of similar way. So that was like combination of that he has certain kind of voice, and then that we already knew some, like had some contact with them. So and of course that it's a Finnish band, so it was nice to collaborate with another Finnish band or Finnish singer.
yeah, yeah. Gotta love your fellow Finns, right?
Yeah, it's a super small country, so it's also like I think it's important to support other Finnish bands,
Yeah,
and we have got a lot of support for other Finnish bands, and definitely trying to also give that back for the younger bands, for example, and things like that. So that kind of collaboration things are really interesting and really nice in that sense.
yeah. And of course, the next album, "No More Hollywood Endings," I like that album. And fun fact, that came out like the day before my birthday in 2019. So what was that whole album cycle like?
That was again, I'm trying to think. I would say, like that's an album which was made in times when we were really busy. Like I would say after Bringer of Pain, that was maybe the first time when we started to feel that we are kind of a real touring band, because then we were, after that album we played something like 150 shows in 1 year or something like that. So we were basically all the time on the road, super busy. And then at some point we realized that, okay, now it's time to start making an album, and it's like time to come up with some songs and stuff.
Yeah,
And I would say in a way that the songs and the album were kind of made, if not in a hurry, but like so that we didn't have like abundance of time to think about things. It's more like done, like, okay, let's do it. Here's the songs and blah blah blah. And okay, let's record. And in so it's maybe made in a little bit like professional or industrial way, that it's just like, let's get it done and out.
yeah,
but there was, I think it was maybe first album where there was not some insane drama or something happening,
yeah, yeah. And I still think
which is good.
Yeah, And I still think it's a pretty good album. Like, have very early anthemic songs like Unbroken and Eden, I think are really great. Especially, they love Razor Fist is a really sick song. Everything about this is perfect. And I got to actually saw you guys for the first time on that cycle. You did the tour with Camelot and Sonata Arctica. I was at the show in Atlanta at the Masquerade, and that was a great show. And that was my first time seeing Battle Beast. And you guys definitely put on a killer live show.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a funny tour.
Yeah.
And I was that. Oh yeah, no, it was not our first North American tour.
Yeah.
I think it was our second. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. What was your
Those
first
were
ever
good times.
US tour?
I think that was with Sabaton.
Oh,
Like
wow.
I don't remember which year, which album, which year. It's
Yeah.
probably with Bringer of Pain.
Could be.
And then
that would be a hell of a first tour in the states. Were you like at that time nervous, like touring America for the first time?
Not maybe in the same way as as we were nervous playing with Nightwish back in the days, because then those were the times when we didn't know about anything. But then, like when we came to US with Sabaton, we had that year, like we had been touring all the time, so it was just like another tour. Just like little bit, we heard some rumors that that the venues are somehow like kind of like sometimes not so good, and that the backstages suck, and something like that. But I don't think that was the case with Sabaton, because Sabaton was already big enough that they had pretty nice venues.
Yeah.
So and they had as a band and as a crew, Sabaton is super friendly and super nice. So it was the overall experience was really nice, like really amazing, because these guys are super nice, super friendly, super funny.
Yeah.
There was really like amazing nights, for, one after another.
All right. And then of course your latest album, Circus of Doom, I thought was a pretty good album. Did you want to try to continue on the same vein as No More Hollywood Endings, or did you want to try something like different?
I would say like the direction was a little bit back towards the heavy metal thing, or like metal thing. I think No More Hollywood Endings little bit tried out if it would work to go more towards like a softer kind of hard rock styles. And I would say it didn't in that area. It didn't really do that well. And also the numbers show that it was like not like super, like a great idea or something. So so then like with Circus of Doom, with everything, we also try to go back towards kind of like heavy metal, power metal things, and less like rock ideas.
Right.
And I feel that we also did quite good job with that. I think that Circus of Doom is a little bit more like natural thing for us than No More Hollywood Ending style. Or at least some songs there.
Right. And of course you mentioned you were kind of went to like more of a heavy metal kind of style with this album. Did you like have that sort of like idea like preconceived, or did it just happen like naturally and organically?
I think it happened quite organically, because now we have multiple people writing the songs, and it's like after releasing No More Hollywood Endings and seeing like the reviews and seeing the numbers, and of course hearing the songs over and over again when we played them over and over again night after night, I think everyone also kind of started to form this idea that that we should kind of go back towards the power metal, heavy metal things. I think it was more like that kind of mutual, I don't know, almost like telepathy or something. That it was not like we didn't like actively agree that okay, let's now make power metal songs or something like that. But it just turns out that everyone who was writing songs started to navigate towards that.
All right. And I would think, obviously, I think this album was written during the pandemic. Did like the pandemic at all sort of like influence the music, or do you try to like make it like completely separate from that?
Of course, should ask separately everyone who wrote songs, but I think the consensus was that we tried to avoid making an album about pandemic, like because it was like after 2 years or 1.5 years or whatever, everyone was so tired of that narrative, that we didn't want to waste this album for that. And there was already many bands were doing like songs and doing albums and doing music videos about pandemic and blah blah blah. So that was quite active decision that we didn't want to make songs about pandemic. Of course, I'm sure that on the deeper level, staying at home locked 1.5 years definitely had some effects on people, on the songwriting and on your mind, like from what kind of state you're writing. But it's like this album is definitely not like the songs are not about pandemic.
Right, but I even know like there were some bands that had like albums that written back in like 2018, 2019 that was released back even in 2020 that I feel like now looking back I feel like have like different context and meaning. Like I remember hearing Of Truth and Sacrifice by Heaven Shall Burn, and I feel like they almost like did it in a way, and I remember like hearing Death Atlas by Cattle Decap that came out like near the end of 2019. I feel like that now has like a different context and meaning behind that. That's what's kind of crazy. It feels like now, like it has like different meaning at the time, but then once the pandemic happened, now it feels like it has like different context.
Yeah, but I would say that's how great lyrics, for example, work. That they usually have like multiple layers, and there's like they have like an abstraction where you can fit them to multiple different scenarios and things. And yeah, I would just say it's, if they were not on purpose like written like that, then they are just great lyrics,
Yeah,
if they work.
Yeah, and of course, one of my favorite songs from the new album is, of course, "Eye of the Storm." I love like the video of it, and especially I love the one comment that says I hope that the future of this is like the future of metal, because I think Nora has like a hell of a voice. Do you, in your opinion, is Battle Beast sort of like the future of metal?
That's very difficult question. I really hope it is, but in sort of like, at least currently, if I look like the trends like right now, it seems like the modern metal mostly doesn't look like us. So we could be future of metal if we become big enough. But currently, I would say the new bands are much more like technical and kind of like metal core and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But of course, it's like you never know what happens like in 5 years or 10 years, or
Yeah.
can be anything.
Yeah, and I also love like especially with the new album. I feel like everybody, like you and Nora and everybody else, you have like a lot of like influences in your music. Is there something like music-wise that you would want to try? I know I'm asking this like way in advance. Is there something you want to try like in the future, or stuff that you would do or you do not want to do?
We don't really have like limits in that sense. It's like, I think we already tried a lot of things we wanted to try. I think like maybe one thing that would be super cool is to do these collaborations. Like if we would get some legendary singer, for example, to collaborate with us.
Yeah.
We have had some contacts with a couple extremely legendary singers, which I can't say right now, but that's for example something that would be super cool to get on the next album.
Yeah.
But I mean, like music wise, I think the latest album is quite good representation of like us as a group, as persons, or like kind of our music taste. I would say we try to do something similar but better, of course. Every album we try to make better than the previous one, but you never know how it turns out.
Yeah. And of course with Circus of Doom, I feel like the lyrics and the titles, especially in like the title track, I feel like very aggressive and dark as well. Well, does that come from like a personal experience, or do you try to like put yourself in like that kind of mind frame?
I would say we have, well, basically we have like three people who write lyrics or write songs. I did some random things, but basically it's Janne, Joona, and Eero who are writing the songs. And usually Janne's songs, like his lyrics, usually are kind of very often about this kind of like a political or dystopian thing. They are about, there's a lot of themes about like greed and how there's a lot of bad people on the planet and that kind of things. And they, of course, then kind of sound quite dark. I think that theme was like in Circus of Doom. The similar theme is in King for a Day song, for example. I guess in many of Janne's songs. Then I would say in Joona's songs, they're a little bit more like power metal, kind of like traditional power metal, more like, themes like that you just should be strong, or, like stay strong, whatever happens, and believe in yourself, and, that kind of thing. They're more about like courage and about yourself. And then I would say like Eero's songs are the most like classic rock or classic metal. There's some deeper meanings too, but there's many songs which are just basically about drinking beer and rocking and that kind of themes, which
Yeah.
which I totally agree. Which is, we need that kind of songs too, and they are the songs which you want to hear on Friday night, for example, right now.
Yeah.
Which are supposed to just make you feel happy and not like think about weird shit all the time.
Totally. And it has been like about a year and a half since the release of Circus of Doom. Have you all started like ideas for the next Battle Beast album?
Yeah, we are like slowly starting the process of doing new songs or doing new demos, because there will be more demos than actual songs that end up on the album. Now I would say we are mostly gathering like the musical ideas. I think everyone who writes, they do the music first and then start thinking like, okay, what should the singer actually like say here? Like I have some kind of melody idea, but what should the lyrics be? So lyric wise, we don't really have a lot of ideas yet.
All right. All right, and I'm also kind of like switching topics. I'm also curious about like your guitar playing and like your gear. Like I'm just curious for like all the gear nerds that are probably watching this. Like what kind of like guitars that you use, like strings, pedals, and amps and all that good stuff.
Yeah, should I talk for myself or for both guitarists?
Or just for you. You in particular.
Yeah, well, actually, we almost used identical gear, except the guitars are different, because I have deal with the small kind of like single man company in Amsterdam called Vandermeij Guitars. So I'm using like exclusively his guitars. I have currently like 3 guitars from him. They're like all custom made, like a completely unique pieces. I just got my 3rd one like just before the latest tour, maybe 3 weeks ago.
Oh, wow.
Which is super, super cool. Maybe I can send you some pictures after this interview. You can maybe put them on the video or something like that.
Yeah, I could just like splice it in right there.
Yeah. Yeah, the latest one is absolutely incredible. Well, you can also find it from my social media or from Vandermeij Guitars social media. It was like, it has all these exotic woods and everything, but the mission was there that I wanted the color that would be like kind of like neon green, kind of like insane lime green, bright green color. And this Mr. Vandermeij, he is also like very, very serious about his craft. So it turned out that he made the mix for the paint or for the lacquer. He made the mixing something like 10 times over and over again until he got the color that we were looking for. So he was spending, I don't know how many days or weeks to get this color right. But it's insane when I finally saw it that he definitely nailed it. Like this guitar is, when you open the case, it's like jumping out of there. It's like super green, like super
Wow.
bright green. And he mixed some kind of like actual neon paint there. So like you can see the wood through the lacquer, but it's still like super green. So he mixed something like some pretty toxic neon paint or something like that. So it also like kind of glows in the lights. Like when on the show, when certain lights are on, the guitar is almost like glowing in the dark because it's like that kind of green, crazy color. That's insane. But yeah, okay, that was a long story about that guitar. But
yeah.
Overall, our guitar choices are quite traditional. That we just use like, or until this day, we used like 6-string guitars with standard tuning, and mostly, well, I've been using quite exclusively like Fishman pickups. I think Joona is using some DiMarzios, and he's playing Ibanez guitars. He has some deal with them. And then like the pedal part is like quite boring because we just recently switched to a neural DSP. That, what is that even called, that pedal which has everything in there? Quad cortex, I think.
All right.
So it's like one floorboard which just it simulates the amp and the cabinet and whatever effects you want to put in there. So it's like everything is there, and then just one cable which goes to the mixing desk, and that's it.
All right. And kind of in the end, to sort of wrap things up, what's next for Battle Beast? Have you all got any more tours lined up? I'm looking forward to seeing you at Prog Power in Atlanta in September. Or is just anything else you would like to promote?
Yeah, everything we have announced so far, all the shows you can find from our website, battlebeast.fi/tour. The next big things are going to be the summer festivals. We have a couple massive shows in Finland because we made some big deals with the festivals that we are bringing like the biggest production we ever had to these couple Finnish festivals. First one next week's Thursday on Rockfest in Hyvinkää. It's like we are going to bring like all the possible pyros and some screens and like everything you can fit on stage. So those ones and a couple other festivals in Finland, those are going to be really, really big. So I would recommend, if you ever had an idea to see our show in Finland or want to see a big show from Battle Beast, then you should maybe travel to Finland this summer for these festivals. And then, of course, there's the show in Wacken. We are playing, I think, on the main stage, which would be super cool. And some couple other festivals in Europe. And then after the summer, we will go straight to US with Camelot again.
Yeah.
So we are like touring with Camelot, and then Prog Power is there in between, and we are playing also there. So for anyone in North America, it's now a good time to come and check out our show if you already haven't, or even if you have, you should come again.
Yeah.
Because now there's new stuff, new songs, and new everything.
Yeah. So before we go, I just want to thank you, Juuso, for this interview. It's just any final words you want to say to close this out?
Well, to anyone out there watching this, thanks for watching. And it's like anyone starting a band, you should do it. It's crazy. It's like first you don't know anything, when we didn't know absolutely anything about nothing when we started. But if you never stop, there's a high chance that you will end up in good place, and that's what happened to us. So just keep trying.
Nice. So everybody, Juuso from Battle Beast. We'll see you next time.